Well, it's certainly been a week, hasn't it? Talisman nerfs, Kanto 8 Part 3, Shichun Ishmael, not to mention that the channel has been growing at a pretty steady pace. Thanks for all the support. I'm working on ways to pay this kindness back. The Discord server will probably be out sometime between now and the next main episode, so look forward to that. Without further ado, let's get into the start of character creation in Stars of the City. When creating a character, you obviously have to decide what you're making in the first place. You could start with a role in the party, a status effect that you want to build around, which archetype you want to use, etc. Whatever. Just figure out something you think is interesting and work to create a story around it. Or figure out the story first and create mechanics to fit it. No matter which option you choose, make sure it fits with the GM's campaign. Now, let's introduce the character I'm going to be making these next 2 episodes. See, I could have gone with a fixer or syndicate member, but I chose to do something a little unorthodox, to show how you can take on aspects of life not yet shown in the Project Moon games. Hit it. Veronica Grace was like most kids in P Corp's nest, sheltered, boring, and blind to the struggle of the world at large. But when she was out late one night, she stumbled upon an underground club that connected the nests to the back streets. She met all kinds of people there, and returned every night she could. Eventually, she took up performing there, and gathered a sizable fan base. The people she met from the back streets inspired a sense of adventure and justice in her. One day, years later, she found out that someone had leaked the location and nature of the club. An illegal tunnel into the nest wouldn't be tolerated by P Corp any longer. Fearing her new home would be destroyed, Veronica made plans with her friends to meet back when P Corp was conducting their raid and make a stand. When the day came, she sprinted there as fast as she could, imposing herself between the police and the bar. Unfortunately, she was the only one who came. There was no struggle. They merely shoved her out of the way, into the back streets, not knowing or caring that she was a feather, and sealed the tunnel. Now, Veronica is trying to find her place here in the back streets, with little to her name but the clothes on her back, the fire in her heart, and her credit card, which certainly helps take the edge off. Now, let's figure out what kind of build we want. I'm thinking we go for an evasion tank that uses charge to re-roll failed evade dice, keeping the evasion going. I think the feigned archetype will work well for this purpose, giving us aggro at the start of combat, and a saved evade die every scene, as well as story abilities to help us use fame and fortune to our advantage. Now that we've decided what we want, let's check out how to use the character sheet. Alright, to get to the character sheet, you can use this link at the start of the document, or there's another one in the character creation section. So let's go through here. And now, if we want to be able to actually use this, we can't really copy-paste it, because if I boop, over here, boop, yeah, it looks like this. So, instead, what we need to do is we need to go up to File, make a copy. Yep, all of that looks good, make a copy. And that will give us a version we can actually use. The sheet has 3 pages, which cover as much of what you'll need to track as I can fit. You may need to reorganize parts of the sheet at some point if you want to play for a while and accumulate a lot of odd benefits, like I don't have sections for extra story abilities. So I just kind of had to fit what I could in here. So, page 1 covers all of your most important stats, as well as your story abilities, tragic flaw, all of that. Page 2 is all of your skills and your battle abilities. Page 3 is all of your slotted ego passives, all that. And here we have status tracking and miscellaneous trackers on page 4. So let's fill out the part of the sheet that we know we have right now. So that's our story abilities, tragic flaw, and battle abilities. So, looking at what we have with the famed archetype, that will put us with this. Now, we have to figure out our 6 core stats before we get into stats like HP. You may remember these 6 stats when we went over narrative play. Each of them also has their own impact on combat. Not only do they directly impact secondary stats, they also have special abilities when they reach certain values. These are called milestones, and their effects can determine major aspects of your build. Might gives plus 10 hit points per value, and its milestones increase the damage, and eventually power, of all your offensive dice. Vitality gives plus 5 stagger resist per value, and every point past the first allows you to add -1 to one of your affinities, making you more durable. The Vitality milestones boost your block dice, and allow you to cover your weaknesses. Agility increases the size of your speed dice at every odd-numbered value. The milestones boost your evade dice and eventually give you another speed die to work with. Intellect gives you additional skill modules, which we'll go over in more detail next episode. For now, just know that they make your skills have more interesting effects. Intellect milestones typically just give you more and more powerful modules to work with. Instinct gives you additional maximum light at every odd number, and its milestones give more light regen and extra uses for limited use skills. Persona lets you start each battle with more emotion points, so you can get your ego out faster. Its milestones focus on increasing the power of ego, or reducing the cost. Now, at character creation, you assign the following array of stats as you wish. 1 4, 2 3s, 2 2s, and a single 1. For our character, let's put our 4 into agility, since we need to improve our evade dice. Let's then put 3s into intellect and persona, to reflect a nest-born education and a rock star's spirit, respectively. We'll put our 2s into might and vitality. Since we're banking on not taking damage in the first place, we don't need a ton of HP. Finally, our 1 will be in instinct, since we're playing a character who hasn't really been in real danger before. Now we determine our derivative stats. Your HP is equal to 30 plus 10 times our might, so 50 in our case. Your stagger resist is 15 plus 5 times your vitality, which for us totals 225. Your max light will usually start at 3, but if you've got 3 or more instinct, it'll start at 4 instead. Finally, we determine your affinities. As I stated before, this is a 6-part chart detailing how much of a damage or stagger you take when hit. To determine your affinities, first choose a weakness. This is a single affinity that is set to either +2 if it's a damage affinity, or +1 if it's a stagger affinity. This weakness cannot be modified by any permanent means unless specified, but can be covered by temporary effects like protection. For our character, let's do a pierce stagger weakness. Now we have 1 - 1 we can apply from our vitality. Let's put that in our pierce damage affinity, to balance out the extra stagger we'll be taking. That's about it for the basics. This hopefully shouldn't have been too complicated. Skill creation is when things get a little more difficult, so we'll be saving that for its own episode. I already covered most of my talking points in the intro. At this point, I'm just figuring out the Discord server and waiting for Project Moon to announce the next livestream. In the meantime, I'll have another bonus video and probably my reactions to Canto 8 Part 2 and 3 at some point in the future. I might also go into Limbus's balance and how difficulty works, especially after the Li Hang fight, so maybe look out for that sometime in the future too. Alright then, see you all in the next video. Bye bye!